Alright, I think it's about time I did another video on the orthotropic stuff, because that's a subject I'm very interested in, trying to get more involved in and all that sort of thing, and yeah, so here we go. I want to do a video just answering specifically this issue a lot of people have talked about on the channel. I see this question crop up fairly often, actually. So yeah, basically, a lot of people say, okay, so you get the tongue up, expands the maxilla, top jawbone, this bit, widens out, teeth get less crowded, or in my case, together at the front, which is a result of it being expanded too much at the front because there's not enough room at the back. That was the default posture my tongue went to, when swallowing and stuff. Tongue was too low. Same old problem, same basic issue as crowding with spacing. Tongue's too low, it causes weird asymmetries in the face, and you get things like that. But yeah, so a question people have is, because yeah, obviously you can expand the maxilla. Well, not so obviously to many, but that one seems pretty clear-cut to people when you explain it to them. That shape at the top of the mouth, the tongue obviously goes in there. It's shaped for it, it's built for it, that's where it's meant to go. So you get the tongue up, apply that force, as you make more room, more tongue goes up, you expand, you expand, you expand, no problem. A lot of people wonder about the mandible, the lower jaw, because clearly you don't have a tongue going in there and expanding outward. They wonder, how do you get it to, expand? What do we need to do about that? The answer is nothing. Basically, if you can expand the maxilla enough, the mandible will move forward with it. It will upswing, this angle will change, it will decrease, it will go from, that, it will raise up. This will get, more jagged, whatever, you will get a better looking jaw from it, is the short answer. You will make more room for the wisdom teeth and all that sort of thing, and I'll show you, I'll, not demonstrate, but I'll illustrate that point in a minute. But when you expand the maxilla, the reason the mandible is too small, you get crowding in the teeth there, all that sort of thing, is because the maxilla, when it downswings, the mandible gets dragged back with it. Now, the jaw joint and all that sort of thing, that's a priority to keep, centric, well-balanced, all that sort of stuff. Your face, your bones, all that sort of thing, like any joint, they want to stay functional. And it's incredibly hard to do when the maxilla gets knocked down too much, it really is, but when the maxilla comes back, the jaw comes down, the bone remodels. It literally changes shape. And I was literally having a discussion with someone earlier about, the maxilla, fine, that expands. The suture's not fused, all that sort of thing, so you can expand to whatever degree. But the mandible, once puberty's over, it's a done deal. It doesn't change shape, you're stuck with it. That's not true at all. I've seen it in my own case, my efforts with, orthotropics, mewing they call it now, whatever, oral posture changes. Even with whatever effort I've put in, I've been at it about 2 years. I should have seen something, and I have, these things are slow, though. You're not going to get magical, ugly as hell, then top model looks in a couple of short years. It just doesn't work that way. Bone doesn't remodel that quick. But I have seen my mandible change shape with the maxilla expanding, to whatever degree. And it's blatantly obvious because my wisdom tooths come through on the left side, and if I open my mouth and show you, take a look, spot the obvious difference. Now, I know the camera's not great quality, but most of you, and it's a bit shitty lighting, all that sort of thing. It's one of the reasons I don't have very good before and afters, but even with that going on, you can tell I've got 3 molars on this side and 2 on that one. Before I started the orthotropic stuff, I didn't have one on this side at all. That hasn't changed, this side of the face is still too low, and I'll get to that in a bit, but this side has changed dramatically in terms of tooth-bearing space. This side of my face is higher up, more expanded, all that sort of stuff. You can tell it when I'm talking. That's not lighting making that difference obvious with the, I think they're called nasolabial folds. I don't know how it's pronounced, I can't remember if I'm getting it exactly right. I don't focus on the details too much these days. I tend to read stuff deeply and then take what I can apply and focus on that. So yeah, not great with the terms, but like I say, you can see the difference in the sides of my face. Even with, bad camera angle, all that sort of stuff. But with that, expanding a bit has made enough room. My mandible has managed to upswing a bit. It has made room for the wisdom tooth on this side, on the lower, down here. To the point where I clearly have 3 wisdom tooth on the left, and, 3 molars on the left, and only 2 teeth on the right. That's happened since I started the oral posture changes. When I started them, this, my teeth had been stable for 5 years, I started, let me think, I started 2 years ago, was about the age of 20, 21 that nothing new happened with my teeth. From there till I started the oral posture stuff, my teeth were stable for a good long time. About 5 years, I remember thinking when I first started looking at this stuff. So, it's a significant time frame. The changes I've had in my face are definitely not down to a last bit of growth from puberty. I'm long since past that stage. It's definitely not a factor. The changes I've had are directly down to the oral posture changes. Again, my wisdom tooth on the left side, it was only just barely visible when I started. You couldn't even really see the front two cusps on the teeth. Now I can see all four when I look in the mirror. And again, bad lighting and that, but yeah, it's clearly there. It's still a tiny bit, blocked off at the back. It's not fully erupted, but it's close. It won't be too long before that's fully erupted. And this side isn't, because this side of my face is too low. It illustrates the point beautifully that the mandible will come forward. It will swing up. That will make more room for the teeth, more tooth-bearing space in the arch. You don't have to do anything to it specifically. Expand the maxilla enough and the mandible will go up to match. That's just how it is, and that's why I don't have a wisdom tooth on this side and I do on that one. This side of the face is too low. And it doesn't look obvious at a glance. We've all got facial asymmetries to some degree. It's not obvious, but if I bite my teeth together, my natural bite is here. And you can tell it's a bit lopsided, all that sort of thing. But if I put the top teeth together with the bottom teeth, you can see how blatantly obvious and lopsided the face is. Look at that difference, the amount of space between the top and bottom teeth on the right side versus the left. Screamingly obvious that this side is higher up. And again, it means more tooth-bearing space here at the back. My wisdom tooths come through. I'm certain this one will erupt eventually, but it's going to take quite a bit of doing to get the face, to not be lopsided, to get this side up enough, to get the wisdom tooth enough room to start erupting. And I know it's going to happen because when I bite with the top teeth and the bottom teeth together like that now, the right one touches the bottom. It didn't used to. It's definitely gotten less, it's gotten more symmetrical since I started applying this stuff. So yeah, again, to answer that question, this is a long video to say simply don't worry about it, basically. But yeah, the mandible will come forward by itself if you can just get the maxilla up. It's not true that just, the mandible is grown. If it's malformed after puberty, I think the term was shit out of luck, as one person put it. Which is, I can understand that assumption, but it's not true. It's just not. The bone will remodel. Call it remodeling, call it growth, call it whatever you will. The point is that no matter how set back your face, no matter how poorly developed your jaws after puberty, they can both change. And if you can improve the structure of both of your jaws, your face will improve, you'll get better looking, all that stuff. That's the usual angle people are looking at orthotropics for, which is fair enough, perfectly admirable goal to want to look better. But yeah, I'm personally focused on health stuff. I want to be more functional. I want to have better health, I want to be able to, be smarter, all that stuff. Any improvements I can get from it, and I've got some main reasons for wanting to improve it, which led me to it, which was the tinnitus stuff. If any of you guys have seen my videos on that, you'll know that's a pretty big motivating factor for me. And yeah, this pertains to that as well. It all interrelates. There isn't a process in the body that isn't affected by the jaw position. Everything is affected by it, and it's why I think it's such a big deal to get these oral posture changes right and to put the effort in to get good, solid change. So yeah, again, expand the maxilla, focus on getting that tongue up, keep the lips lightly sealed, definitely, but lightly, and keep the teeth lightly together so that they can all align properly, sock in nicely and everything. You'll have good looking teeth, you'll have a good looking face, you'll have a healthy body. That's, for the most part. There's other factors, but this is a big fundamental part of our health. So again, one last time, I keep repeating it because I tend to ramble, but if you take care of the maxilla, the mandible will come forward by itself. If you can get the maxilla far forward enough, you will have room for all of your wisdom teeth, even on the bottom. You'll have a good jaw, the double chin will disappear a bit, all that sort of stuff, still body fat an issue there, but a lot of people got double chins because the mandible's too far down in the face, which is because the maxilla's too low. So again, focus on getting your tongue up, expand your maxilla, the mandible will take care of itself. So I hope that fills it in, and yeah, feel free to ask me questions on it. I'm looking to get making more of these videos. Because yeah, this is a massive subject, it really is, and I think more people doing it would be better. Obviously, you've got the Dr. Mews doing videos on it with the YouTube stuff. Brilliant. It's wonderful to see, you know, professionals, you know, looking at fundamental issues in the body with our health. But I feel adding my own experience is, you know, it's good to see more from people that are trying this stuff and see what they're doing. So again, you know, just try this stuff. Put it into practice. Put the effort in. Give it enough time and you will see positive change. It's inevitable. It doesn't matter if you finish puberty or you're 100 years old or whatever. It will happen. It just takes time. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. You know, feel free to ask me questions here, all that stuff. I mean, I'm always answering questions on the Orthotropics page anyway. So yeah, give us a shout. Take care, guys. Bye.